With things keeping most of us inside just as the days are getting longer and warmer here in the Northern Hemisphere, we, like many, are just missing the simple act of getting out and about outdoors. In today's video on Get Indie Gaming, we're looking at 10 of the best indie games that offer an outdoorsy, rambling, walking simulator type of experience. We'll get this countdown off and running, and at number 10, in no real particular order, What Remains of Edith Finch was our 2017 Game of the Year, with it also placing in the top 5 indie games we enjoyed playing the most over the decade just gone. We suspect this one won't be new for too many, although if it is, to quickly recap, What Remains of Edith Finch sees you explore the rooms, walkways and outdoor spaces of a tumble-down family home on Orcas Island off the coast of Washington State. Now this mostly centres on Edith, a member of the Finch family that's seemingly afflicted by a curse that causes all but one member of each generation to die in strange and unusual ways. So what makes this one good enough to be decade top 5 material? Well, we're all in agreement here that it's the overall narrative at play and how the interconnected stories in each of the mini episodes, well, they're just so beautifully told, and that's what really does it. It's just so very sublime, with you essentially living the last day of each of the family members, with you spanning a time frame from early 20th century to more recent days, each a poignant snapshot not just into the time that they're set, but also into the personality and mindset of each individual family member in the lead up to their death. This is perhaps the least outdoorsy game in this countdown, however it is one of the quintessential walking sims, and when the twist comes towards the end, wow, just wow. Edith Finch is unmissable and can be found on all of the usual platforms and consoles.
I'm not sure if the story I'm about to tell you is true or not, but I know it's something nobody's heard before.
Up next and at number 9, first released as a free-to-play mod for Half-Life 2, Dear Esther had a full commercial release onto Windows PC in February 2012, with it also coming to the PlayStation and Xbox One a few years later. As for the gameplay, well, it's easy to call Esther out on this, as there's not much going on within it. Most of the time is spent wandering the beaches, headlands and hills of an uninhabited island in the Hebrides, all the while listening to a voice-over as they read sections of letters addressed to Esther, the man's deceased wife. As you move across the island, you'll find derelict buildings, shipwrecks, caves and other places of interest, all the while as the semi-random story unfolds. Even today we still enjoy Dear Esther for the sense of exploration and ruggedness which comes from the environment, which in turn reminds us of our own time out and about on Scottish and some of the lesser inhabited islands in the Channel Islands, with the wind in the face and the sound of the waves breaking on the shores.
Travelling artist? That's wonderful.
We've had quite a few shipwrecks here. There's a reef surrounding the bay and that's what does it. I'm just glad you all made it.
Up next at number 8, and one perhaps I should apologise for including in this countdown, although it certainly does deserve a space. You see, I featured it only a few videos ago in my most recent Hidden Gems video, so if you've already seen this one and want to skip ahead or so, I'll see you again in perhaps a minute or two. Still here? Well, that's rather nice. In any case, Eastshade is a really interesting and unique RPG where you're not only, well, you're not the hero, you're not the main protagonist, but it is really all about making your way across and through an island full of quaint and cosy villages, golden beaches, cliff paths to windmills and hot air balloons. You're playing as a freelance painter, and while some of the island's inhabitants ask you to undertake the odd simple quest here and there, in Eastshade, well, you're properly able to relax, unwind, all the while taking a good long stroll from here to there, with you perhaps settling back from time to paint the odd picture. Eastshade came out last year and can be picked up on PC, the PlayStation 4, as well as the Xbox One.
Hello, Two Forks Tower. Two Forks Tower, this is Thoroughfare Tower, come in.
Up next at number 7, we have another all-time walking sim classic from the team at Campo Santo. Firewatch sees you play as Henry, a recent new recruit to the fire lookout team in the Shoshone National Forest, with it all set the year after the Yellowstone fires of 1988. It comes with a heartbreaking backstory I'll not spoil, but you join Henry on his adventures through the wilderness, where a month after so into the job, he begins to uncover a conspired mystery that began many years earlier. What works so well here in Firewatch is again the overall branching narrative and how you and Henry talk and engage with Delilah, your supervisor, all the while by using walkie-talkie, with you choosing the dialogue from a number of options. It's these exchanges that build and help the overall narrative that builds throughout, and it's really unprecedented in other games of this type. The voice acting is deliciously well done, and like many of the games in this rundown, you can honestly get a sense of the open space and wilderness that's so very easy to escape into. Some have said the ending is a little bit of a letdown, and if that's you, I'd once more urge you to take stock and have a think about where Henry's headspace is once the credits are ready to roll. Firewatch is another cracker of the genre and can be found on all of the usual platforms. At number 6, Lost Ember came out last year, where I got hold of it on the PlayStation 4. This one sees you play within a post-human world, where all of us bipeds have, it seems, disappeared, and this one comes with the overall premise that you're able to jump into the body of any creature you see. A tagline from the press release is one to remember, with it calling out the ability to possess a wombat and force it to do your bidding. Well, that's perhaps a little bit too flippant. There's way more going on here than bouncing between sentient animals. Much of the joy to be had here comes for the exploration, and while you can finish the game with very few animal changes, we can't imagine anyone would want to play it like that. Moving from, say, the wolf to birds to fishes, and yes, there is a rotund little wombat for you to play with, it's just so key to the overall enjoyment of this game, and it's better to do so off the beaten path. Exploring, going and seeing things, it's just so much fun. Perhaps the best character, if I can call it that, comes in the shape of a hummingbird which sees you belting around the air, but also when you play as a little duckling with its bobbing head and spinning legs. All of this, well, it makes me feel connected once again with nature and the outdoors, and while I can see that in some ways sounds reasonably pompous, it's also a marvellous advertisement and achievement for the team at Moodeye. Lost Ember is available on PC and all of the current generation's most popular consoles. Moving on, and at number 5 we have Virginia, a game that's so very difficult to talk about without red flag spoilers, although rest assured, I've been super careful to keep everything secret and under the hat. In Virginia, well, you play as an FBI agent, Anne Tarver, with you journeying all the way in the first person to a small little hamlet town in the state of Virginia. You're there to investigate reports of a missing person, although it's clear from the get-go the townsfolk are hiding and keeping things very close to their chests. There's lots more going on here than just looking for a missing kid. There are easy comparisons to be made with, say, Twin Peaks, and it still feels as fresh and original as it did back when it launched in 2016. It also looks, well, it looks so very, very pretty, and can be played on the PC, PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One. Up next, and at number 4, and the game that inspired the creation of Get Indie Gaming, Abzu is a little bit unusual, and I know I'm taking a little bit of a liberty with its inclusion, although I feel that's fully justified given the end-to-end nature of what Abzu does. This comes from the art director of Flower and Journey, and it's in the vibrancy and the underwater world that sets Abzu apart from anything quite like it. We love how the character's able to perform fluid and natural acrobatics, which also sees you interact with the various sea creatures, which makes for a wholesome experience. Now, yes, we're aware we've used that word a lot of late, although it fits so well with what Abzu does. One of the most enjoyable aspects is to go into the meditation mode, where the screen on your TV, well, basically becomes one giant aquatic screensaver, and it's utterly adorable.
I don't know if anyone will ever hear this. It's all over. I'm the only one left.
Next up, and at number 3, we have Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. Now, I used to live in a village back in England that perfectly matches the one you can find and explore in this game. It had the playground with the witch's hat roundabout, A couple of village pubs serving warm watery ales, the village shops, the local post office, and, well, pretty much everything within it puts me back in mind at a time 20 or so years ago. Now, some people will be put off by the pace of the exploration. You make your way from place to place at not so much of a canter, but more in line with at times having an annoying limp. As for the story, well, you get to figure out what happened to all of the villagers, with you also getting to know many of them and their relationships with each other. Like the village overall, there's many things going on between the village folks that's easy to recognise and empathise with. For me at least, and for where we are today, I've really enjoyed looking back into the sights and sounds of village life, and while I'm happy living in a small city, I do at times long for something more quaint and something slightly more simple. At number 2, and another one in this list that might see a few raised eyebrows as it's not strictly a walking sim, Mutazione gets a place here for its garden mode. While the main story has various restrictions to make the storytelling more effective, its standalone garden mode, well, the plant's overall composition and associated growing timelines are totally up to you. What's more, you can just sit back and, like Abzu, turn your TV into one big old garden screensaver, with it evolving by design or over time as new seeds blow in and find their places, whilst others wither and die. If you let it, it can be a wonderful, relaxing place to sit back and visit, and truth be told, it's one of the best things about the entire game. We love how you're able to jump back into the story mode and go exploring to find new seeds, and then take them back to plant in your garden. It's a revelation that anyone who likes to sit back every once in a while, to just let things gently pass over you, well, this mode is another reason to play this very special game. If you haven't seen this yet, you can follow the link in the description to our glowing review of it, or you can click on the card that's on screen now. At number 1, a short hike sees you play as a little bird who, while out and about in the relative wilderness with her Aunt May, decides there and then she really needs to find a signal for her phone. Having set off, you come across a number of characters, all who seem to have forgotten something or need a little bit of help here and there to go about their business. Having given your assistance, well, you're usually rewarded with items or skills that give you a little boost here and there. While it's all great fun to explore, the most enjoyable sections of a short hike come from when you take to the skies and fly about the place. It's also stress-free and simple, and while yes, this is an adventure game, there are no annoying health meters or things you need to watch over, which works here so very well. A short hike, well, it's casual gaming greatness, and while I've shown it a few times off here and there, at this moment, it's just the kind of thing we want to be playing. And with that, be sure to let us know which games you're most wanting to play down below, and while you're here, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. We're uploading pretty much every single day, and a subscription with the notification bell turned on is the best way of staying up to date with all things Get Indie Gaming. All the best, and see you all here soon for another video.